Welcome back. The Republican strategy during Cohen's testimony on Capitol Hill today was pretty simple. We did not hear a defense of their own president. Rather, the game was clearly tried to further discredit Cohen and what he did to deserve the 3-year prison term he's about to embark on, and repeatedly call him a liar.
I want everyone in this room to think about this. The first announced witness for the 116th Congress is a guy who is going to prison in 2 months for lying to Congress.
Your star witness here broke the law with regards to the IRS at least 5 times. He pled guilty on cheating on his taxes, lying to the IRS. He's the best witness you got?
Here we are today, our first big hearing with, as you and we all know, a convicted liar, lying to Congress, a criminal.
You're a pathological liar. You don't know truth from falsehood.
Sir, I'm sorry. Are you referring to me or the president?
Hey, this is my time.
Are you referring to me, sir, or the president?
When I ask you a question,
Yeah.
I'll ask for an answer.
Sure.
There's no truth with you whatsoever. That's why that's important to you, to look up here and look at the old adage that our moms taught us. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
To drive that last point home, that Congressman Gosar, during questioning, an aide put up a large sign that read, in fact, liar, liar, pants on fire, with an image, for good measure, of Michael Cohen, in case anyone missed the subtlety of his questioning today. Still with us, Rebecca Davis O'Brien and Kimberly Atkins. Just a point of order, the committee chairman pointed out late in the day, their first hearing was about prescription drugs. Their second hearing was about voting rights. So this was not the first sworn witness. Kim, the GOP notion of all offense today and no defense, meaning no vigorous defense of Donald Trump. What did you make of it?
Well, look, clearly the strategy by the Republicans, as you said, was to attack Cohen just from the beginning, not based on what he said, really before he even testifies or in lieu of asking him questions, just saying, look, you are convicted of lying, you're a liar, you cannot be believed, and just discredit him entirely, as opposed to asking him questions and maybe trying to pick holes in his story. I mean, some of it wasn't very firm. I mean, he based this connection between that Trump Tower meeting and President Trump having knowledge of it, for example, on a really kind of fuzzy recollection by his own admission. There was actually there for them to pick apart. But instead, they went at him directly. And I'm not sure that was the best strategy. I mean, first of all, it allowed Michael Cohen to rebut that by saying, you know what, I see what you're doing. You're protecting the president. I have a lot of experience doing that. I've done it for 10 years, and look where I ended up. And it also makes the Republicans, if President Trump himself is found to be lying, it puts them in a tough spot if they say that Michael Cohen can never be trusted again if he's caught lying. Well, what would that mean about the president?
Rebecca, what was all this mishigas today about a book deal? Anyone who's ever smelled anyone involved in this case has a book deal already. Why was there such attention on whether Michael Cohen would swear to never agree to a book deal?
You know, that's kind of a mystery. I think part of this is, you know, they're trying to paint him as being interested in the spotlight and in leaking to the press, or, you know, in trying to profit from his crimes in some way, which, of course, you know, some questions about that legally. But I think, you know, I don't entirely understand why. Maybe they're concerned that he's out to aggrandize himself, as some of the congressmen pointed out today, that there was, you know, some element of his own ambition at stake here in the presidency.
It was not a boring day.
It was not a boring day.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.